In March 2025, mysterious alien creatures wiped out almost all of humanity, leaving only a small group of survivors forced to hide inside a massive underground shelter. In order to ensure the continuation of human civilization, they built watchtowers outside the shelter, and the warriors sent to guard them became humanity's last hope. Every 100 days, they had to carry out missions in these towers, and for these heavily armed elite soldiers, this was supposed to be an easy task. But when the rookie S.U.M.1 first arrived at the Watchtower, the scene before him made his scalp tingle because he found that the previous sentry, VAX-7, had mysteriously disappeared. This left S.U.M.1 completely baffled and at a loss, as this situation was clearly abnormal, and he rushed into the control room. But to his astonishment, all the surveillance and defense systems were operating normally, and although everything seemed eerie, the cautious S.U.M.1 still reported the situation to his superiors immediately. Despite his doubts about the orders from above, S.U.M.1 chose to obey and continued his mission. In the following days, to prevent him from feeling lonely, the higher-ups not only provided him with lavish boxed meals, but also an unlimited supply of cigarettes every day. But such a carefree life lacked excitement, and the monotonous days made S.U.M.1 feel increasingly bored. Until the second day of the mission, when the appearance of a little mouse brought a touch of joy to S.U.M.1's dull life. Having this little companion by his side even made the usually serious S.U.M.1 smile. But the good times didn't last long, as the alarm suddenly blared through the sky while they were playing happily. As it turned out, another watchtower had been attacked. Soon, news came that the sentries there had been killed, scaring S.U.M.1 into immediately checking the status of the defense system. Although no traces of an attack were found, he noticed something unusual in the nearby forest, as if something was lurking in the darkness. S.U.M.1 immediately reported the situation to his superiors, but they remained unusually calm and said that as long as the defense system had not been triggered, the base was safe. Hearing this, S.U.M.1 could only comply. However, the next day, the base sounded the alarm again, as a surveillance camera had suddenly lost its signal. S.U.M.1 fearlessly grabbed his weapon and rushed to the scene, but there was no sign of any monsters, only a camera that had lost power. S.U.M.1 quickly got the camera working again, and just when he thought it was a false alarm, something unexpected happened on his way back. S.U.M.1 saw a terrifying claw mark on a tree and discovered a crow cruelly nailed to the trunk. Even more bizarre was that the crow carried a sentry's identification tag, and it was VAX-7's name tag. This horrifying scene made S.U.M.1 panic, and he hurried back to the base to report to his superiors. But what he never expected was that their reply was full of loopholes, claiming that VAX-7 was not killed, but was simply recalled to headquarters due to illness. Although these words sounded like lies, S.U.M.1 had no choice but to believe them. The next day, the unconvinced S.U.M.1 returned to the place where he found the crow. But the next moment, a humanoid monster appeared before him. Strangely, the monster did not attack him, but vanished into thin air in the blink of an eye. With his mind full of doubts, S.U.M.1 hurried back to the Watchtower to contact his superiors, but they told him he was seeing things, and that the monster might have just been a wild animal. These words filled S.U.M.1 with doubt, as if his superiors were deliberately hiding something. To uncover the truth, S.U.M.1 began searching for clues among VAX-7's belongings. Sure enough, he found a suspicious bloodstain on the wall behind the shelves, and it was obvious the shelf had been moved. He quickly moved the shelf aside, and seeing the bloodstain on the wall, he initially thought VAX-7 had committed suicide. But after comparing with his gun, he realized it was not that simple, as the angle did not match at all. While feeling completely puzzled, he suddenly noticed the surveillance camera opposite. Obviously, the surveillance footage might give him the answers he wanted, but just as he was about to check the historical records, the system denied his access, which made him even more certain that he was shrouded in a massive conspiracy. Furious, S.U.M.1 opened VAX-7's locker and unexpectedly found a sketchbook inside, but there were no words in it, only some strange drawings. S.U.M.1 then realized that the little mouse was actually VAX-7's pet, but the further he flipped, the more horrifying the images became, not only depicting terrifying crows, but also some monster-like creatures. What shocked S.U.M.1 even more was that the sketchbook showed the location of another watchtower, clearly indicating that VAX-7's disappearance was somehow connected to that tower. At this point, going there was the only way he could find a reasonable explanation. However, just as S.U.M.1 reached the border, a piercing alarm suddenly went off. S.U.M.1 was instantly electrocuted and fell to the ground, as it turned out that the defense system not only guarded against monsters but also against the sentries themselves. But this did not make S.U.M.1 give up, as he climbed a tall tree and tried to use a mirror to catch the attention of the opposite watchtower. Unfortunately, at such a distance, they could not see his signals at all. Helpless, S.U.M.1 had to return to the watchtower and began trying to hack the system permissions. But just as he was about to succeed, bleed, the Watchtower suddenly lost power, and before the stunned S.U.M.1 could react, a dark figure appeared behind him. This sudden scene terrified S.U.M.1, but he forced himself to chase after it. However, as a flare lit up the night sky, he saw nothing at all. And at that moment, the power suddenly came back on, so the still shaken S.U.M.1 contacted his superiors again. But they still responded with their perfunctory attitude, telling him to hold on for another 40 days until the mission was over, and that they would send maintenance workers to fix the power issue. At this moment, although S.U.M.1 was speechless, he had no choice but to endure it, and he even began to suspect that he might be losing his mind. While he was using medication to calm his emotions, VAC-7's walkie-talkie suddenly came alive with a call. Upon answering, S.U.M.1 realized it was another sentry, who said it had been a long time and that they missed him very much. S.U.M.1 hurriedly asked about VAX-7's whereabouts, but the other party realized they had mistaken him for someone else and immediately cut off the communication. S.U.M.1 was completely speechless, and when he thought back on everything that had happened during the mission, it all seemed too bizarre, as if he had fallen into a massive conspiracy. To uncover the truth, he could only pin his hopes on the soon-to-arrive MAC. S.U.M.1 finally saw the first living person other than himself. S.U.M.1 took the opportunity to ask him about VAX-7, but MAC said he was just a lunatic who made friends with mice. Hearing this, S.U.M.1 instantly felt a chill shoot up to his scalp, as that description was exactly him. He then mentioned the monsters and asked Mac to help restore the surveillance footage, but Mac not only refused outright, he even slapped S.U.M.1's little mouse away and mocked S.U.M.1 for being just like VAC-7, a lunatic who befriended mice. Hearing this, S.U.M.1 instantly burned with anger and punched Mac hard. Seeing that S.U.M.1 was serious, Mac had no choice but to obediently restore the data. But not long after, he said they needed VAC-7's password. Seeing that S.U.M.1 believed him, Mac picked up a screwdriver and stabbed it straight into S.U.M.1's abdomen. Although Mac had the upper hand, S.U.M.1 was a battle-hardened soldier, and this minor injury was nothing to him, and soon he subdued Mac completely. With no other choice, Mac confessed to S.U.M.1 that he was once a soldier, and deeply understood how terrifying the monsters were. They not only had incredible combat abilities, but could also use ultrasonic attacks, causing humans to bleed from every orifice if they got too close, and the scar on his neck was left by fighting them. But at this point, S.U.M.1 did not believe any of it, so he locked Mac up and used his credentials to successfully restore the previous surveillance footage. He saw that VAC-7 experienced a situation eerily similar to his own, and his bizarre disappearance was not due to monster attacks, but from a mental breakdown caused by loneliness. Now, the only thing S.U.M.1 couldn't figure out was why the superiors deliberately imprisoned the sentries here, and whether there were actually any monsters at all. Thinking of this, S.U.M.1 could no longer suppress the anger inside him, and in a rage, he smashed the communication device to his superiors and then threw the can from the table onto the ground. But what he never expected was that this action directly killed the little mouse hidden inside the can, and S.U.M.1 felt as if his heart had been stabbed. Seeing the little mouse dead, S.U.M.1 completely lost the will to live, and he walked naked out of the Watchtower, with his mental state deteriorating rapidly. But at that moment, the monster actually appeared, and the stunned S.U.M.1 was utterly confused and ran for his life in terror. Seeing that he was about to be caught, in his panic, he grabbed a stick from the tree and struck the monster down. However, he was horrified to find that there was a QR code on the monster's neck, which belonged to VAX-7. S.U.M.1 finally realized that the sentry he had been looking for was this very monster, and the alien monsters his superiors spoke of might have just been a lie. Behind all of this was a plan to create fear, so they could control the survivors inside the Doomsday Fortress. S.U.M.1 decided to uncover the truth. Even if it meant risking his life to break through the defense system, he was determined to expose this shocking secret to all the sentries. In the blink of an eye, he had reached the outermost edge of the defense perimeter, and using the method taught by Mac, he quickly cut all the cables, causing the entire defense system to collapse instantly. However, S.U.M.1 was still completely unaware of the disaster he had just triggered. When he finally climbed to the other watchtower, the scene before him left him dumbfounded on the spot. The entire tower was like it had been bombed, leaving it in a horrible, unbearable mess. While he was still confused, deafening roars suddenly came from all directions, and the piercing sounds made his ears bleed on the spot. At this moment, he remembered Mac's previous warning, but it was already too late, and the damage could not be undone. The alien creatures were frantically slaughtering humans, and S.U.M.1 forced himself to stay calm. In order to redeem himself and try to save the situation, he had no choice but to pick up his weapon and fight the alien creatures. But as soon as he charged out of the bunker, he was immediately forced back by the alien spacecraft's laser fire. Under this fierce firepower, he could only hide in the bunker for shelter. He still naively thought that the thick steel would block the enemy, But the next moment, the monsters broke in as if cutting through tofu. If this continued, someone was about to become the monster's food, and his impulsive decision had put human civilization in even greater danger.